Let's get into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's get into the Mike Evans Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their fantasy outlook. Yeah, 1 and 2 are good. 1 and 2 are good. DJ Moore and Mike Evans. But let's get into the Bucs. Let's talk about them. And, I had a really hard time trying to come up with something to talk about with Tom Brady that just wasn't stupid when it came to just fantasy and football in general, because you could just ask that standard question of, when will it run out? When will time catch up to Tom Brady? And there's just no answer to that. So I came up with another stupid question. Is Tom Brady the best non-dual threat fantasy quarterback option this year in drafts, Aaron? Non-dual threat quarterback. So that's not talking Lamar. I consider Patrick Mahomes a dual threat quarterback.
Okay,
I consider Josh Allen. I consider.
Well, what kind of?
It's for me, and the reason why I said I think this may be stupid is because I don't know if people are putting like a Joe Burrow and a Justin Herbert ahead of Tom Brady, because those guys are not. I don't think those guys are the dual threat, like the typical dual threat quarterbacks. So that's where I find this.
Okay,
so I decide.
So I disagree, because I would argue that Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are dual threat. They don't always use it. And it doesn't always translate into fantasy, or they don't always end up having to use it, but they are capable of using it. So when I say dual threat, to me, it's like threat means they could do it. Tom Brady has no shot to run anywhere. Because I was almost going to throw out the name. I was going to almost throw out the name Russell Wilson if we base on style of play. Russell Wilson has not been a runner of the football for the past really like 3 years. Like that game has kind of changed for him. If I didn't categorize him, if I categorize like him, Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, Derek Carr, Tom Brady in that group, I think I would still put Tom Brady at the top because of how much they throw the football. And then the style of offense in which he's playing in, right? It's so high volume that you're going to get numbers. The only other person I would consider is probably a Russell Wilson in a new offense. So I worry about that a little bit. But yeah, Tom Brady's going to throw a lot of touchdowns. That right there is why. 1 yard line, I'm Tom Brady, I can throw it. Or you might get a quarterback sneak. Things like that, I think Tom Brady. Look at that dual threat. Of course, you got him running the football.
Oh, man. Dual threat my ass, Tom Brady. Like, I can do this shit. I can do this shit all the way.
But I do think he would be the guy.
He is the man of mystery this season, I feel like, because there's no, like, you are wondering when time will catch up to him. But over the past 2 seasons, he has been a top 5 quarterback more times than any other quarterback in the league besides Josh Allen. And he's you can't go against him. But his
arm is on his shoulder and the line protects him. Tom Brady can play football. That's because he's smarter than everybody on the field. The father time, when we talk about father time, is going to come run into him when he gets hurt, when he gets hit and he's hurt. His arm, as long as his shoulder's in good shape and he can throw the football, father time will never catch up, because the fact is he's smarter than everybody on the football field.
AJ, is he, we talked about Travis Kelce being like, when we talked Dynasty, we're like, okay, you're going to go down with the ship with Travis Kelce no matter what. Is Tom Brady that same way, where you're just going to go down with the ship with Tom Brady no matter what? You're still going to draft him wherever his ADP is. You're still going to ride the ship with Tom Brady and die on that hill.
I'm not drafting him in a dynasty league. I mean,
no, I'm not. No. I wasn't. I'm not talking. I was making the comparison of when we talked about Travis Kelce dying on that hill with Travis Kelce. We're going to keep drafting, are going to keep riding him until he dies, and you will take that hit. Tom Brady, the same thing. You're drafting him in redraft leagues, and you're okay with taking the hit and trusting that. No,
we had this conversation, Vinny.
Yeah,
we did this last time. I said I won't end up having Tom Brady because I'm not going to be the guy that gets him the year he falls off. Like
I did that with Manning one year.
I did that with Manning. The year I waited 3 years in a row. I was like, this is the year. I'm not doing it. And I finally got him. and he 9 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, his worst game year.
Did the same shit with Breeze.
No, not doing it.
None of you guys will have Tom Brady on your roster.
I won't say that
unless if there's a
I'll
value
do it this year if it's not dynasty. I do want to bring up one more point on this dual threat shit. I know he doesn't run the ball, but this guy's had 2 or more rushing touchdowns every year since 2018. He will score a random ass push in.
He will score quarterback sneaks. He's good at it. He's the best quarterback sneaker of all time in the NFL.
Because no one expects it.
He gets. I mean, you think about it. That's 3 rushing touchdowns a year. That's more rushing value. I think. I mean, he could still potentially score. He's not getting yards, but he still gets those random ass touchdowns. That adds to his 40 points,
and I get that can be the difference between a QB, 8 and a QB 9 or whatever, but I don't know. I'm drafting him for 3 rushing touchdowns.
Exactly. Especially because those 3 rushing touchdowns, if he didn't get, would be 3 passing touchdowns more than likely.
Yeah.
So he'd still get 12 points out of the
He's on the 1-yard line. He gives it to playoff Lenny.
And Mike Evans is on the corner.
Did you not just watch the highlight?
Yeah,
he was on the 1-yard line like 3 times, and he threw it 3 times.
I just wanted to sound smart, knowing that he had 2 or more rushing since 2018.
Well, I tried to sound smart and predictive, and you guys ripped me a new asshole. So
yeah, your turn, Dylan.
All right, Dylan, you brought up playoff Lenny. What should we be expecting from Leonard Fournette this season?
He's a dog. Woof, woof. That dude is an absolute beast. I mean, we talk about this fella. I said, I got him as an RB1. We did our little mock draft, little snizzy Lizzy, what we did before. And that dude was he's all over the place. I mean, he had 180 rushes last year, caught 69 balls. Nice. I mean, this dude is all over the place. Everywhere you go, he's doing it, right? And, I mean, this is a year for a guy like Leonard Fournette. I know you lose Rob Gronkowski. There's still going to be a pass-heavy offense. With what they got going, you lose your head coach and Bruce Arians. That's all right. Playoff Lenny is an absolute beast. He's going to get a ton of work. They lose Ronald Jones. That's 102 attempts. He caught 10 passes last year. And then you potentially bring in a Rachaad White. I think he's not going to be too big of a factor on the Leonard Fournette workload. It seems like they trust him a lot, especially receiving the ball. Those 69 catches, again, nice. Worked pretty well for Leonard Fournette as he went around last year. I think that was something. I think some people worry about Giovanni Bernard. He played 12 games, caught 23 balls last year. I don't worry about that too much. So really, it's just a similar situation to last year, except you got a rookie back there being the backup running back as opposed to Ronald Jones. I think Leonard Fournette gets carries and is an absolute beast this year.
Is it possible to see Leonard Fournette as the RB1 at the end of the season?
Overall?
No
way.
Okay.
I don't think so, but I wanted to bring up
there.
Point.
You got to remember, you got to remember, he is not. So you talked about those 100 carries that Ronald Jones have. If Leonard Fournette takes most of those carries, he is not going to get the work in the passing game like he got last year. Like, they are not going to watch Leonard Fournette go for 400 touches. It's not going to happen in Tampa. They're going to use Keyshawn Vaughn. They're going to use Rachaad White, Gio Bernard. So I don't worry because I think it could still have the same value. I think he actually reduces his passing volume numbers this year, probably maybe to like 40 to 50 catches, and his rushing totals go up because I do think they don't have a guy behind him like a Ronald Jones who carries the ball in between the tackles. Keyshawn Vaughn's more of an outside guy. He can work in the pass game. Gio Bernard, Rachaad White, all those guys are more passing down backs, whereas Leonard Fournette's that dual threat, but I think they're going to need him to run the ball more.
But on third down, do you trust a rookie in Rachaad White in that situation, potentially in a pass-catching role with his pass blocking abilities? But what I'm saying, I mean, essentially,
he's actually a really good pass blocker. That's why they like him.
That's good.
But I see your point, which is why I think Keyshawn Vaughn and Gio Bernard will still play a little bit of a role.
But, I mean, Tom Brady threw 106 balls to running backs last year. Like, he likes to dump down. He's old. I think the passing work still could be there with more rushing value, which is why I love him this year. But, AJ, go ahead.
I mean, it's just a bunch of stack and release. I mean, you get these guys in to, give a little bump. But if it breaks down, yeah, Tom Brady sees his progression before the play even happens. So, but to Aaron's point, just the weapons alone, we watched them use that offense to its best abilities. They spread the ball around. Tom Brady gets everyone involved. Leonard Fournette, I do believe he's going to run a little bit more. But the passing downs, like 400 touches is insane. I mean, sure, they brought him back, but it's not to the level that I wanted. So I kind of agree with Aaron on this thought process. It's going to see it come down and watch them spread spread the ball out to all the receivers, get extra running backs put in this game, and keep Tom Brady with as many weapons as possible.
Definitely an
Leonard
RB1.
Fournette gets 250 touchdowns. 250 touches. He gets 250 touches, which is about what he got last year, maybe a little bit less than that. He'll be a top 10 running back like he was last year.